Good morning, y'all. We're doing outdoors today because why? It's beautiful, okay? It is gorgeous out and the temperature is relatively mild. The universe has seemed to bless us with a temperate, stunning December day, okay? Which means, and it is the Lord's day, all right? But, and since it's the Lord's day, it means we high as hell with our AM coffee. Blessed be to the old gods and the new. But man, I was out here thinking about some real controversial takes, okay? Because, why? Let's adjust up. Didn't like my posture there. Okay? Gotta be upright. If we're gonna be spicy, we have to at least have good posture, okay? Now, why? Well, that's part of what we're gonna be talking about today, darlings. Today, this episode is called Pavlovs Positivity, or how to bitch slap yourself to success. Okay? Sometimes. I'm not saying I'm smart, okay? Because I do think that the retard maxing guy is onto something. But, which, you know, stupid is as stupid does, right? But every once in a while, as my dad would say, even a blind squirrel finds a nut. I'm telling you, if you are fortunate enough to have this kind of weather today on December 21st, year of our Lord, 2025, then you should soak it in, okay? Soak it in, appreciate the peace and the serenity found in routine, right? There's something to be said for recognizing the routines of those around you and the patterns of the other individuals who make up what we call life and how they crisscross yours in even kind of the smallest ways. It's very calming and reassuring, especially when it's beautiful out. If any of my neighbors see this, I want you to know, I wish I could send every single one of you a Christmas card. Truly, thank you. Thank you for every little tiny action that you take every day where you choose to be the best possible version of you that you can be in order to set future you up for success. Thank you. Thank you for that. Truly. Sitting here reflecting on the fortitude of my existence, and I wouldn't be here. I would not be here if it weren't for all of the wonderful individuals who impact my community in a positive way and allow me to have such a beautiful existence. Like, okay, this gentleman here, one of these days I'm going to work up the courage to be down there around the time when he's walking his dog, and I'm going to ask to document his wardrobe, because this gentleman is always putting on a fit, okay? Every time he has to come and bring his dog out in the morning. Today it is old school, almost Babe style camo, but it's not Babe, okay? And a beanie, okay? I was talking to y'all, so I didn't get to see what his underlayers might be if they revealed themselves. But he's got that on with some just classic black denim, right? But it's the kind of black denim that back in the day, you know that this man used to go out and get down with it, okay? Because anybody who lives in New York knows that at one point or another, every young man's wardrobe consisted of that one pair of black jeans that you could throw on so that you could get into the club, okay? That formula has existed through time immemorial, darlings. It is descended from the tuxedo, whether you like it or not, all right? First there was the tuxedo, then there were tuxedo trousers with creative dinner jackets, which then led us to just funky 70s and 80s rebellion. But always the black pants, because it's a base. It's a beautiful, unfailing little black dress of a base upon which you can build a kingdom. All right? And this man, this is his pair of black jeans. But now, because he has endured many an era, I would guarantee it, his going out and getting down pants are now that really perfect, washed, faded black, right? That all of the little fashion bros try to mimic, right? All of these great fashion companies that y'all go to, you pay just repulsive amounts of doll hairs to try and replicate this, which can really only be properly and masterfully achieved with time and dedication, okay? Because that right there, time, is the essence of true luxury and wealth, right? Is the maximalization and enjoyment of time. Because without time, there is nothing, okay? But time, that's true luxury. How long does it take someone to do something? It's why it impacts so much of our lives, right? And I promise I'm coming around here. I will get back to the key point of the day. But that gentleman, man, perfectly groomed and like shaped beard. Every day he's got on something fabulous, truly. Shout out to that neighborly sir. Anyways, appreciate what the dedication to a balanced and I don't know what we want to call it, right? Like, it is morals, but it's the idea of morals being a shark knows it's in the water, darlings, okay, right? Because if a shark didn't know, they would just be coming out and like getting fucked up all the time, all right? But they don't, all right? That whole idea of a shark doesn't know it's in water, babies, stop it. Of course it does, because it knows when it's out of water. Did you hear that? I hope so. Now, anyways. This idea that we intrinsically are guided towards acting towards one's self-interest is inherent. It's inherent like gravity is inherent. It's a natural evolutionary response to survival within the wider universe, okay? That's why you can see it duplicated across any level, whether that's, at your microcosmic level with things like fungi and, spores and it's it's not myocarditis. Myocarditis is like the heart thing. But, look, we'll research it and tell you what that word is. But the study of fungi, basically. And we know that these tendencies and behaviors are a natural reaction to the state of the universe, right? What Marcus Aurelius and the Greek and Romans referred to as the logos, right? And so we know that to act in a certain way is a naturally occurring drive, right? For one's own self-interest. And the secret is, the truly big-brained thing is, the 4D chess of it all is, how are you able to take all of this information and then see how the possible choices could affect future you, right? Because you can't just be thinking about present, okay? That's part of living in a first world country, darling, is that we have the privilege of thinking multiple steps ahead so that we can set future self up for success, right? Like, that's the whole goal. And then if you're real big brained, right, which is where people get in trouble because people would do anything for their children, all right? As soon as you can have a separate entity that you can start putting all of the fallout on, right? Like, oh, they're your scapegoat. You can start anything that you can start being like, oh, I'm doing it for this, right? Instead of accepting that really, and you're doing it for yourself, right? But children are the perfect one because, people will excuse anything in service of their children. But that's the big brain move, right? The big brain move is, I'm going to go replace this battery in a minute. But the big brain move is being able to see so far in the future that you start planning for your grandkids, right? Like, how are your actions going to repercuss throughout the universe and be revisited upon one's offspring? Because, darling, karmatic retribution has not been a concept for thousands of years for nothing, all right? It's because that lizard brain, that little lizard brain back there, baby, it knows that in one's self-best interest, it is best to be like the shark and not come up out of water when it might kill you. Or when one gets tossed up on a beach to try and get back into it, right? Whales, same thing. Whales can breathe air, but they still aren't trying to live on land. Anyways, let me go get a battery replacement, because if one must use an old camera, one can at least be intelligent to the way its rhythms work. So, new battery, and we'll pick back up. Okay, we're back. We had to go, life. We made some breakfast. We fixed our bojankly nails. So, now that all our T's are crossed and our I's dotted, we can go back to talking shit, okay? We got our glass house all mended and stuff. But anyways, we were talking about Pavlov positivity, all right? So, what is the solution to all of it? What is the actionable task from, all of this, all of my ramblings? And it's a little bit louder because, again, it's been a few hours. We've had a little bit of life happen. But anyways, so what's the actionable practice that we can take away from this Sunday sermon, okay? And that is Pavlovs positivity, okay? So what do I mean by that? I mean that every single thing that you do, every action that you take is forming a habit, okay? And you have control over what habits you want to ingrain in your life and what sort of neural pathways do you want to foster within yourself, right? And you can either choose to do things that benefit future you, or you can choose to do things that will harm future you, all right? The choice is yours, darling. That free will, man. It's a marvelous thing. But, so, what is Pavlov's positivity? All right, well, first off, who is Pavlov? All right, I don't know the man's first name, okay? I don't remember. It's been a long time since I took Psych 101. But anyways, we all know about Pavlov and his dog, right? So Pavlov trains his dog with food, like a reward and a, clicker, right? And eventually the clicker becomes the instigator of the activity in service of the reward, even if the reward is missing. So, how can you apply that to your life? Well, how I apply it to mine is, first of all, whenever I have, the major way that I have found to be successful in implementing this is whenever I have a negative thought about myself, I Pavlov it, right? So, is a bitch feeling, chubby? Do some push-ups. You feeling self-conscious? Do some push-ups. You feeling, self-critical? Do some push-ups. And then eventually what happens is you're just doing push-ups all the time, which makes you feel better, makes you look better, and builds a healthy habit that you will, live your life with, right? And you can do that with anything, right? You can do the metaphorical rubber band snap on the wrist, right? To Pavlov yourself into better habits and better mentality. And that's what this is about. And so what do I mean by bitch slap? Okay, well, darling, we all know there are some people, and this is why laws exist. This is why corporal punishment is a thing, is because we all know there's that one person who just is waiting to get smacked, okay? Because life is tough, and although us normies go through life and are capable of controlling these urges to physically, backhand a bitch, some people just, they're asking for it. And the longer that you go through life asking for it, the higher statistical probability there is of you running into somebody that will do it and will answer that request, okay? And will bitch slap the shit out of you, okay? And that's part of life. That's part of growing up. It's part of, your parents' role is to remind you that sometimes things are unacceptable and that you need to be aware of your actions and the long-term repercussions of them, because you have a likelihood of going out into the world and running into somebody that's not going to be afraid of bitch slapping you. Okay? And that's what laws are. That's what, the repercussions for breaking the law are. That's what it is. That's a social contract that we have agreed upon as a community, that if you do this, then this is the wrist slap that you deserve, right? And we all learn really well that way, right? Like, you don't learn by saying or hearing, right? You learn by doing. And it's like the whole, I can tell you it's hot, but until you touch it, it really won't sink in, right? So that's what it's all about. It's about taking that same mentality and translating it into habits and mental elasticity and fortitude to hold yourself to your own word. Because at the end of the day, the only person that you're accountable to is yourself. So if you make a promise to yourself, whether you keep it or not is up to you, babies. It's up to you. And you are the one that has to own the responsibility of whether you hold yourself to those standards that you set, okay? Because believe me, I don't care. I don't care if you do or not. I mean, I do, because I have to look at you, and I would really greatly appreciate if you were doing the best that you could, so that the things that end up in our community are aesthetically pleasing, and they don't rub my hair backwards with their midness. But that's what it's all about. It's about going out, appreciating what you have, and moving forward in a way that puts future you in the best place possible. Okay? So we won't keep it much longer than that, because really, hey, I can preach to you for hours about this, but it doesn't matter if you choose not to do anything about it. So wake up every day and choose to make choices and make decisions and move through life in a way that puts future you in the best place possible, okay? Because the rest of us thank you. The rest of us thank you, we appreciate it, and we love when our neighbors contribute to the collective beauty and good and future prosperity, okay? Now, on that word, or that note, I should say, I'm telling you, y'all, put on real clothes, okay? It doesn't take that much. Put on real clothes and put on real shoes. It makes a difference. It makes you feel better. It puts you in an immediate place of, it gets you in the right frame of mind, right? But that's a whole nother lecture. Anyways, don't trust anybody. And remember, it doesn't get any better than this. All right? Have a good week, y'all.